Hello and welcome to another Raid Shadow Legends video. This is Kingy and I'm going to be doing another clan boss run using 4 epics and a rare. It's an old school style team, classic whatever you want to call it, but the idea of this team is that you don't always have to use an unkillable. If you're on a 2-key Ultra Nightmare team and you've got these champions or these sort of champions or champions that could replace these sort of sitting around, you may as well just chuck them in there rather than using your MVP champion specifically for clan boss. Such as Sepulchre Sentinel, an amazing champion, used to be OP back in the day for clan boss, but with all the new unkillable teams or just the real high teams of Brogany and Krisk and all of that sort of stuff, sort of phased them out, especially all of these champions. Sandless Survivor still used a fair bit, maybe Skullcrusher because there's only 3 counterattack champions. But the others not so much. Thylesia is not really a clan boss champion, but I thought I'd run her just so I didn't put a legendary in this team. Like a Razian Scarhard would be perfect fit here, and he's also a free fusion and a guaranteed all the time fusion, so he would be a great replacement for Thylesia. Probably much more ideal because he also has the buff strip where no one else has, so he would allow this team to survive up to almost turn 50 because he's pulling off that increased attack up from the clan boss. Now Sepulchre Sentinel, she's coming in with an A1 and she's also got increased defense and block debuffs. Frozen Banshee's coming in with the poisons, Thylesia with the decreased defense and the extensions, Sandless Survivor for the extension of the buffs, and Skullcrusher with the ally protection and counter attack. Let's give this team a run and I'll run it through you. Alright, so everyone's just going to do their set items on this first round, but then after this first round we do have to take over about now, so we've got to make sure that in this section that Frozen Banshee and Thylesia both use their A1. Just got to make sure she uses A1, not her A3, and the same goes for Thylesia, and then once you've done that it's back to full auto. Never have to touch these champions again. So after the stun hit, it's going to go with everybody doing the A1 except for Frozen Banshee and Thylesia. Frozen Banshee with her poison sensitivity, Thylesia her decreased defense. Then after the AoE 1, everyone will be doing the A1 to start off with, except for Thylesia. She will do her extend debuffs, and then Sepulchre Sentinel on her second turn, because this is where she has 2 turns, she will do her increased defense and block debuffs, and Skullcrusher his ally protection and counter attack. Then after the AoE 2, before the stun, Sandless Survivor will do her extend buffs, and everybody else running on the A1. So Frozen Banshee is going to keep a full poison debuff bar up there, guaranteed all the time, because poison sensitivity is getting extended, and also poisons are getting extended thanks to Thylesia. Everyone's going to have increased defense and block debuffs on every single clan boss attack except for Skullcrusher on the AoE 1. He will lose the increased defense, so you do have to build him quite tanky. Be careful how much HP you put on him, because on a Spirit Affinity clan boss I do believe he will be taking the stun. This is my first time running this team, so I haven't really been able to test play it, but because he will be the only one that doesn't have counter attack on that stun hit, it's most likely that he will be taking that hit. Now with this team here, everybody's running on lifesteal, and everybody except for Sepulchre Sentinel is that slow counter attack speed, which is the 171, 172, up to about 180 or 182, whatever it might be. This team specifically, I have got Skullcrusher running at 172. I do this just in case his true speed is actually something like a 161.6, because if he was running at 161 but his true speed wasn't 161, it was more like 170 or something, then he would get overtaken by the clan boss, and we can't have that. So I just like to make my slowest champion those 2 speeds faster, and then you know you're all good with your true speed, and then as long as you got your order going, all good after that. So my order, of course, is Sepulchre Sentinel. She's in a 4-3. She has her doubled turn after the AoE 1. This way, when she places her increased defense and block debuffs, she also gets an A1 hit to heal up thanks to lifesteal. Then we've also got everyone on a 1-to-1 after that, with Sandlash Survivor leading the way, so that way after the AoE 2 she can extend the buffs. Then I've got Frozen Banshee coming in next, so that way she will place her poisons after the AoE 1, and Thylesia after the AoE 1 would do the extend debuff, so that way the poisons get extended for that extra turn, as well as the poison sensitivity. And of course, then that's when Sepultura takes her second turn for the block debuffs, increased defense, and then of course Skullcrusher last in the turn order. It's a nice fun team. I used to run this team pretty much how it is now, except instead of Thylesia I did have Razin, because he strips the increased attack and he also lays down weaken alongside his block debuffs. It means you don't quite get as many poisons from Frozen Banshee, but you get more than enough to fill up the debuff bar, and of course you're not wasting a debuff with the Hex that Thylesia brings. But I thought I'd chuck her in. She's an interesting champion. I've never ever used her in Clan Boss before, so this is the first. I'm curious to see how it goes. It's exciting. What are we at? We're at almost turn 20 with probably 15 mil. Yeah, about 15 mil in turn 20. That's not too bad. So we're 5 mil under a 1 mil to... Okay, that's pretty good. The idea of a Clan Boss team is to try and get as close as you can to 1 mil per turn if you're looking at a 2 key team, and of course for a 1 key team you need to get a bit more than that or just make your team survive forever. This team here is a 2 key team, at least that's what I'm hoping, expecting. I think with bad gear it would be a 3 key, but with a decent enough build it should be an easy 2 key. And when I had Razin in a team like this team was hitting, I think, nearly up to 60 mil. So with a small couple changes on top of Razin, it could be a 1 key team. So it is quite a fun team. Very interesting team. I think if you wanted to make a 1 key, you would have to run like a double ally protection or a double counter attack, something like that. Make sure that you've got the ally protection for the stuns and everything, and you also bring that increased defense all the way around. Like I was saying, Skullcrusher does lose his increased defense after the stun for the AoE 1, which is a bit of a shame, but it is what it is. The biggest danger with this team is of course that we can't strip the increased attack off the Clan Boss, so he absolutely smacks in that A2, and that's the only fear I have of this team. I know Skullcrusher won't die because he's got the unkillable, but everybody else, it's hard to tell. But the good thing with running a Sandlash Survivor in this comp is that she also has the ally protection passive. So she can help protect somebody like a Skullcrusher during a Spirit Affinity Clan Boss to help take the stun hit, and also the AoE 1. And then during the AoE 2, she should also come in with a ally protection. Not that it's real needed, but it'll help a little bit. And then Sepultura Sentinel, she can be very, very clutch for a team like this. So she can be the difference between several mil in damage in reality. If you get good RNG with her passive, as you've seen just there, untouched, blocks incoming damage. So Sandlash Survivor took 0 damage, which is pretty fucking cool, I would say. So yeah, her passive with that is very, very awesome. And it's got on a decent rate and everything. It's not something you can rely on, as it is just a chance, but it's nice. So I always build a team with Sepultura Sentinel pretending she doesn't have the passive, and then I'm pleasantly surprised with when it happens and I have good RNG and it works off well. So yeah, this team, I love seeing all those poisons there though, from Frozen Banshee. A very simple, basic, rare, but man, she can lay them out and does a good job doing it too. So yeah, even there, like Skullcrusher was nearly on half health with a shield, but a Clan Boss still went for Sandlash Survivor, which I took as a bit of a surprise. I know that she's a weak affinity, but I thought with Skullcrusher's lower health that he might take the stun hit there. And that's where Sandlash's passive ally protection can come in handy. and of course also again for Spirit Defending Clan Boss. Skullcrusher will also need a lot more healing after the AoE too, because he will go down to 0, but thankfully he does have that unkillable. And he also doesn't get counter attack, which means he has a less healing chance. And he's can't build him for damage, being an ally protection champion. You can't really stack too much critical damage. But in a team like this, I think I could get away with it, because I don't think he's going to be the first to die. So if I stacked a bit more critical damage on him, he can do pretty good damage too. Then, for starters, I'll get more damage, and I would also get more heals, which would make that stun hit never worry him on any other affinity like Force or Magic. Because yeah, after this here, he has to go all the way up from 1 health point back up to full, which he won't do unless he gets a crazy hit and a nice Giant Slayer. But let's see how it goes. Yeah, look at that. Got a very nice heal, but still not quite up to full. But enough because he is strong affinity for the clan boss not to bother with him. So here we are, coming up on turn 40 with almost 31 mil damage, which is pretty good. So depending how well we last here, this team could be pretty solid. Like I said, you get a Ruzin Scarhide in Thylesia's position. You're stripping that buff off, which takes out the damage from Clan Boss a lot. Alright, down goes Sandler Survivor. I think her ally protection might have procced there. No, then she would have had block damage. So yeah, so her weak affinity just got her down, which was a bit of a shame, but so be it. It's going to be very close with her dying. Yeah, so not quite a 2-key team. Got very close to it though. Maybe with a bit better RNG would make it. But a 33.45 damage team in 10 minutes, a very reasonable time. Soundless Survivor, on a Void affinity, this team would be hitting probably 40 mil, because Soundless Survivor would bring a bit more damage. Frozen Banshee coming with a huge amount of damage from those poisons of 16 mil. Thylesia and Skullcrusher not doing too much, and Sepulchre Sentinel just doing a semi-basic.